Yo, Venom Squad, I'm going to show you the correct way to feed a Bushmaster. And the safe way. Coming up. Yo, Venom Squad, we're back at Venomcentral. I'm going to do a little short video today, and I'm going to tell you why I'm doing this video. I had one of the crew, somebody that just had acquired a pair of Bushmasters, and they watched the few Bushmaster videos I've done, and they've got some good info, but they've been watching a few other videos that are out there and talking to a few of the experts out there, and they're getting steered in the wrong direction, and they're getting misinformed, but about feeding and actually keeping Bushmasters and stuff, and I'm all for learning from everybody, but when you're getting the wrong information from somebody who doesn't have any idea what they're talking about, that can steer you down the wrong road, and what happens is you end up with a very expensive snake that ends up dying on you. So I decided to pop up a little video, and basically this video is for one person, and I hope you enjoy it, brother, because I'm gonna give you some pointers, and now that you have my number, you can always reach out to me, and I'll help you all I can. I want to see you take the right kind of care of your snakes, and I want to see your snakes thrive. It's hitting on care, you know. Somebody had told them that, you know, you got to keep Bushmasters at like 68 degrees all the time, or if they hit over 75 degrees, they'll die. Wrong. That's totally not true. And let me tell you, the magic number with keeping Lachesis, I don't care if it's blackheads, I don't care if it's Stenophrys, I don't care if it's Muda, is 75 to 77 degrees. They do really well at. And if they hit over that 80-degree mark for a period of time, they'll actually start showing signs of stress. It's not good for them. They can gut it for a while, but it's not good for them. I mean, keeping them at that cool of a temperature for a long period of time, it's not that good, because you've got the humidity high and that cool temperature, it wears on the respiratory and stuff. And my expertise with Bushmasters, let me tell you, I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I've been trusted with several large collection of Bushmasters, along with my own Bushmasters. I own my own Bushmasters too, but I'm going to tell you, keeping them at about 75 to 77 degrees, they're going to do fine. They're going to do great. And keeping the humidity high. Now, nighttime, it's okay to let them drop into the lower temperatures. Let them get in 68 to 70, 70s, low 70s is good for them. That nighttime drop is beneficial to them, because that's when they get active. And also, you asked me about lighting and photo periods. Now, this snake doesn't live in a total darkness for its whole life. That's ridiculous. These snakes will venture out during the day when it's breeding season. There's the drive to reproduce drives them out during the day and does different things. That's ridiculous. I mean, keeping them in a big cage with a natural photo period. Ours get all the light just from the windows. They run on a natural photo period, and they get this ambient room light during the day. We keep them with a dappled light. They don't get bright light stuck on them and stuff. It kind of spooks them a little bit. They get dappled light, so I keep curtains in my Bushmaster rooms that just filter light through it, so it's a nice soft dappled light. And of course, when they're in the dark, and that's when they get active, because they'll spend a lot of time in the animal burrows during the day, and then they'll come out at night. But I know several people that have found plenty of Bushmasters in the wild that were out during the day. There's plenty of videos out there of Bushmasters out during the day. They don't live in total darkness. That's wrong again. Feeding Bushmasters. This is important. This is really important. Now, I don't care which species it is. They're all designed a certain way, and Lachesis is not designed to eat big meals. Now, one of their main prey items is spiny tail rats. Spiny tail rats don't get real big. They don't get like our Norwegian rats here. They don't get, I mean, they're a medium-sized rat. And keeping Bushmasters in captivity, you don't want to give them nothing too big. They may kill it, they may grab have it, ingest it, and they may process it. But if you keep doing that, you're going to hurt it. They're not designed for big prey items, small prey items. Our big 8-foot Bushmasters, we feed them medium rats. Now this Muda here, this guy's going to get, I'm going to feed him today. He's going to get a medium rat. And that's going to sustain him for a month. That's all he needs. And he's perfect body size. He's perfect. The weight on him is perfect. Everything. And if you feed him something big, you're going to screw him up. They don't do good with big meals. Bushmasters process. Everything's slow about Bushmasters. They process it slow. If you feed them a big prey item like a guinea pig, oh my God, that's the worst thing in the world you can do for a Bushmaster. Give them something big with a lot of hair. That's wrong again. You do not give them something like a guinea pig. That's totally ridiculous. They don't do good with large prey items, especially something with a lot of hair. Bushmasters only defecate every once in a while, and they usually do it during a shedding process, but they will do it during a spike in humidity. If I'm worried about a Bushmaster getting bounced up, I'll spike his humidity, and they'll usually defecate. Now, I'm not claiming to be a world expert on these, but I'm going to tell you, I've worked with these things for a long time, and I've bred this species repeatedly over and over and over again. So is my partner Matt. He's bred them 3 years consecutively. I've bred them more than that. I've bred them consecutively for years. I managed the Reaper collection for years. When I started on with Dean, he didn't touch a Bushmaster when I got there. I did everything. I managed my own collection of Bushmasters for years. Now I'm managing Matt's collection of Bushmasters along with my own Bushmasters. We've got the skill set to do this. We know this animal. I've been doing this for a long time. And trust me when I tell you, don't watch these other videos or whoever's telling you this stuff is wrong. It's just, it's just baloney. They can take 75, 77 degrees. That's where I keep them at most of the time. Nighttime temperatures can be a little lower. Look, just here, right here. There's this snake's monitor in here, right here. Look at, I don't know if you can see that, but 77 degrees is the high. Now this cycles every 24 hours. 73 is the low. And it's 11 o'clock at night right now, okay? That's the low in here, 73. In the daytime, it gets up to 77. 82% humidity. Now, 54% humidity, that's during the day when it gets a little bit warmer. That's intentional. This is set up intentional. This room is set up to be like that, intentional. And now you say, well, that snake doesn't even have a hide, isn't it? This snake won't use a hide. He doesn't need a hide. He's comfortable right there. This Muda has been in captivity for so long, he's comfortable. He won't use a hide. But he's fine. And this is a temporary cage for him. We've got him split up from the other ones right now because things are getting ready to happen with this big boy. But anyways, and now feeding them. I want to get back on feeding because this is the most important part. You can feed them a little more as they're growing. I know the specimens that you just got, buddy, are youngsters and they're captive born, and that's great because I know there's people out there breeding them. And like the blackhead Bushmaster, there's a few people out there breeding them, and I'm going to tell you, they're not as rare as you think they are. They're just hard to find. They're really hard to find. And there's people in Europe that have been breeding them consecutively for years. And I know of a shipment that just landed here with a bunch of blackhead Bushmasters. There's not only 30 of them or 80 of them in the States. That's bullshit. There's quite a few of them here. There are so many keepers keeping Bushmasters and that actually do know what they're doing, but they're not on the internet. They're not out there barking, beating their chest, going, look what I got. That's not these guys. These guys are low-key keepers. They're serious guys, and they're private. There's more out there than you think there is. There wasn't just the ones that Dean produced, or Matt produced, or I produced. There's a lot of other ones out there. There's people in Europe that have bred blackheads 4 years in a row, and I've been conversing with them. They know what they're doing. But let me tell you, when you're feeding them, it's a heat game. And this is what you got to pay attention to because this is important. I don't want to see nobody get hurt. I don't want to see anybody get hurt by lechesis because this is the big boy snake. This is the snake that just because you've kept baboons and cobras and you've kept some venomous for, say, 8-10 years, this is jumping running a ladder where if you don't know what you're doing, you will die. And that's that. I mean, this snake is no joke. This is the man snake right here. I'm gonna tell you this one. If you make one mistake, you're done. And if you don't have antivenom, you're done. Keeping your own antivenom, brother, get your own antivenom. Get it, because you know what? If you don't get it to you fast enough, that's disaster. You know, Dean survived several bites. You know why? He had his own antivenom. I keep my own antivenom. That's if you're keeping lechisis and you don't have the antivenom for it. So the next thing I'm going to tell you is get your own antivenom. You got to have it, because where you're located, and you told me where you live, but brother, you know, a hospital in that area may not have it, or they're going to have to try to call around and find it. You know, and the thing is if you needed it, I'd give you mine, of course. But I'm going to tell you, some of these other clowns, they call me, they ain't get my antivenom. That's not going to happen. I pay a lot of money for it. I went through all the rigmarole to get it. If you're going to keep this, get your stuff in line. Have a bite protocol in line. But the next thing is the way to feed these things. There's a technique with feeding venomous snakes, and everyone's different. I mean, just like king cobras, for instance, okay? We've got a couple kings, you know, and we're going to film some king stuff pretty soon, but king cobra is a specialized snake. They eat other snakes. They're ophidious, right? And we all know this. Now, feeding them snakes can be a chore. It's the whole thing of finding, okay, where am I going to get all the snakes to feed this big monster, this 10-foot king that I have, right? And some guys can do it. Like, I just watched Chandler's Wildlife, and that he's going to have a monster on his hands. He's feeding his king cobra pythons, and Chandler, right on, brother, keep doing it, because you're going to have a monster on your hands. And that's what I believe. Feed them snakes. But we can get them to eat rats, and we can get them to eat other prey items. You can train them to eat other things. And I would feed mine turkey necks. I'll give them rats, and I'll give them snakes when I have them available. Mine eat anything. But just the certain things that certain snakes require. Bushmasters require certain things, small prey items. But like with kings, turkey necks, there's a technique to feeding a king a turkey neck. If you ever go buy a frozen turkey neck in a store and you thought, oh, turkey necks are always in a U like this, right? And you don't never feed them a whole turkey neck. There's a lot of bones in a turkey neck. There's a lot of spiky, sharp bones in them. You cut them turkey necks in sections, 4 to 6 inch sections. And then you take that turkey neck and you hit it with a hammer and you bust it up and you make it pliable so it moves like a snake. You make it so it's just like it's eating another snake. And they do okay on turkey necks. And I've fed king's turkey necks for years, little pieces at a time. If you feed them a big turkey neck and you leave it bent in that U, I've seen 2 king cobras die from rookies feeding them turkey necks. King cobras that I know for a fact that were stable, good condition in a man's collection for years, and he was feeding them rats, turkey necks, and snakes, and somebody got this king and fed it a turkey neck, and next thing you know, it's dead. I'm like, what happened? Fed it a turkey neck and it died. No, it died because you fed it a whole turkey neck and you left it bent in the U. You didn't give it a small section. I watched a king cobra almost choke to death eating a turkey neck, and a rookie keeper doing it, and I had to jump in and grab this king and manually neck it and remove the turkey from it, because it was this piece sticking out, and I could see his neck bent in a U, and he was trying to get it out and he couldn't get it out. I had to remove it. And there's just certain tricks with certain snakes that you got to know. And if you don't know, don't keep that snake. Don't keep it. Learn about it, everything you can. Get with somebody that knows about it, and then start working with it. Ease into it. Don't jump into it. I'm going to feed this guy, okay? And I'm going to show you my procedure with feeding lechisis. And some people may think like, well, that's dangerous. Yes, it is dangerous. Because if you are totally scared to death of this animal and you're trying to feed it with long tongs and them gentle giant tongs thing, if a Bushmaster bites them things, yeah, they break fangs off and stuff, but if that fang is not ready to be shed, it will cause an infection. Just like if children, they lose teeth all the time. Bushmasters shed their fangs all the time. But if it's a a fang getting busted out, that's a different story. Infection can't happen, and then next thing that happens is mouth rot. And then you got a whole new problem on your hands. You know, I feed with these. And most keepers, most people are going to say, now that's just stupid, that's just dangerous. No, that's just how confident I am in my abilities and what I'm doing. Because using something big where a snake can actually injure itself or you, and if you ain't got things right, you're going to hurt the animal or you're going to get hurt yourself. Now, I mentioned this in other videos, and I know you watch them. I cool off. I cool everything off. And my room's cool right now. But like my tongs, I keep these really cool. I don't have the accident of that snake blowing by the hot rat on here and hitting the tongs or trying to hit my hand. I mean, this is how I keep my tongs. These tongs are at 76 degrees, okay? I just run them under cool water. I cool them down because that rat, he's gonna be 100 degrees. He's gonna be warm. Rats run warm. He's gonna be 100 degrees. So there's not gonna be a mistake. There's not gonna be an accident. And this is so I can control what I'm doing. And I'm gonna control that snake. And if I think that it's not right, if it doesn't feel right to me, if that snake shows me one little ounce of behavior that he's not hungry or he's not gonna do a predatory strike, he's gonna do a defensive strike, I'm gonna back off the throttle. I'm gonna back away and say, he's not ready. Or if that snake's in the wrong position to feed him. If he's not where I feel comfortable doing it, I'm not gonna do it. I'll wait another day. Because they can go a long time. They don't need to be fed weekly. They don't need to, they can go weeks on end without eating and they're fine. But something skinny where you can steer that snake biting the hottest part of that rat. You don't want him injuring himself on a big flat pan or on big tongs and things like that. And there are other tongs out there that are even longer and skinnier. This is just what I use. This is what I've been using for 20 years working with Jesus. Now, also, getting that rat hot, if you get it too hot, this is what's going to happen. He's going to grab that rat, he's going to spit it out. And that's going to throw him right into a defensive posture because something just lit his mouth up too warm, and then he's going to beat on you next. So it's got to be the right temperature. It's got to be the right temperature. So we're going to get with this little project. I'm going to show you how to feed a Bushmaster the right way. Because I know you told me you watched something and you said it was a disaster waiting to happen and it's just, if a snake strikes it repeatedly, that is not a predatory strike. That is a defensive strike. If a Bushmaster starts blowing his throat out like this and he's not ready to eat, he's pissed off. You back away from him, you leave him alone. Because this isn't a snake with training wheels. This snake is not meant for somebody that doesn't have the skill set to keep this snake. And I think that, I know there's a lot of them out there and there's guys breeding them and selling them and this snake does not come with training wheels. This snake is not meant for somebody that doesn't know what he's doing. So brother, please be careful with it because I don't want to read about you. I don't want to know that you got tagged and you got hurt. It's just, this isn't a snake that you get because it's cool. This isn't a snake that you get because, well, I'm the only kid in my block with a Bushmaster. It's not the one. It's not the one. This is a dangerous animal. And what you do with them, everything is better to be thought out and calculated. You don't jump into this animal not knowing what you're doing. Because the only thing you're going to do is hurt that animal or possibly hurt yourself. So get good information. Get the right information, not from people who's got them. Just because people got them doesn't mean that they have the skill set to keep them the right way. And if you want good information, you keep watching me because I know this snake. There's not a lot of stuff that I claim to be an expert on, and I'm not an expert on Bushmasters. There's a lot of guys that know more about them than I do, but my record speaks for itself. And I'm not just saying, we're breeding Bushmasters, we're going to do this. No, we've done it. Repeatedly, year after year after year. My record speaks for itself. So I'm going to get to it, and we're going to feed this guy, and I'm going to show you the right way to do this. You know, and I get a lot of questions, people asking me, well, why don't you sell some Bushmasters? You know, we don't breed Bushmasters to sell them. They're not for sale. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because they're so delicate, and if something goes wrong with them, I've seen them die off, boom, like you won't believe, with no explanation. I mean, if you've got 3 or 4 of them, if you've got 6 of them, that's nowhere near enough. That's just not enough. I mean, you need 50 of them to sustain a breeding colony of Bushmasters. And that's just a fact. Because breeding Bushmasters is a different story. Because literally, some will breed, some will not. It's a compatibility thing. Some females will not accept a male. Some males will brutalize females and kill them. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I'm telling you, it's not a snake that we sell because we're trying to make money. We don't sell them because we ain't got enough of them. So none of our Bushmasters are ever going to be for sale. That's just the way we do it. Because we don't have enough of them. Because we don't know enough about them yet to keep them going. That's working with the species. That's actually doing something to benefit the species. Not breeding them to sell them. We're not doing that. We're breeding them to build the numbers and have enough of them where we can collect the data and say, okay, this is why it's doing this. Okay, this is the proof. There's the data to show that. We're not breeding them to make money. It's not about money. We're actually trying to breed them. We're not trying to breed them. We are breeding them. We're breeding them to protect the species, that make more of them so we can learn more about them. That's why we don't sell any. I mean, and the prices on them, I think, is outrageous. I mean, what snake's only worth what someone's going to pay for it. I mean, I know you paid a lot for your snakes, brother, and I'm going to tell you something. I think you paid too much, but you wanted them and you got them, and that's cool. And anything you want to know, don't be afraid to hit me up, dude. I'll help you. I'll help you. I'll be happy to help you. I'll help the snakes. I'll help the animals. That's what I'm about, the animals. But we're going to get to feeding this guy, and I'm going to show you the right way to do this. Okay, I'm going to come in. Notice where I'm at here. My legs are spread. I want him to pick up a heat signature on this rat. And we'll give him a little tap, okay, see, now he's picked up on it. And now mind you, I've got my hands cool. Now, he bit it and he released it. And that's kind of normal for a Muda. They'll do that once in a while. But that's still a predatory strike, okay? And I'm well out of the way, all right? Notice he didn't bite the tongs. He didn't try to bite me. He bit the rat. Oh, there he did it again. See? I got my tongs back. He didn't grab my tongs. He didn't hit the tongs. And I'm going to work him a little bit, okay? We're going to tug on it a little bit, all right? And now I want to show you something interesting. Okay, that snake's first strike, and why he backed up? Because he just ejected a fang. Okay, see that? He just spit out a fang. And that's normal. They can do that. But he didn't break a fang off biting my tongs. He didn't bite the glass. He's not doing a defensive strike. He did a predatory strike. And now look how long this is. Most people think you're crazy feeding a Bushmaster something that little. But I'm confident enough in my skills to get this close to this animal and feed it, because I know that that rat is at right temperature. These things are a lot cooler, and my hands are a lot cooler. So he did what he needed to do. And now I'm looking at him right now in here, and he's got 2 fangs buried in that rat. 2 fangs in it. I can lift this and I can see it. Now, I would have my wife get in here and get a close-up, but I won't allow her to get this close to this snake. But I'm going to tell you something. That fang was ready to come out. They shed him. That fang was just in position where he had another one right behind it. He did the first bite, and that fang fell out. He did the second bite, and he hung on because he knew he needed to discard that fang. Now, if he would have bit something big and broke a fang off, there'd be signs of that. You'd see a little bit of discomfort in him. When they break a fang off, it hurts. It hurts them. And we're going to let him eat that rat. Okay, y'all, I snuck in here to get a little bit of footage of this guy taking down his rat. And I put a little 3-watt light bulb over the top of them just so we can see in here. And you can watch how he uses them fangs to rake that rat down into his throat. Now notice the size of that rat. You're going to think that's not enough to sustain that big Bushmaster. That's all he needs. That's just about right for him. And notice he's using both fangs. He'll do one at a time. Pull it in. He'll do it simultaneously. One come forward, pull it in. Next one come forward, pull it in. But he's going to slow down because I'm here watching, of course. But it was pretty cool how he ejected that fang, backed up, and then took a second bite and held on. Now, it's kind of common. Muda sometimes will strike and release and then reach around and grab it again. And this guy, he does that more often than not. He'll hit it, and then he'll hit it a second time and hang on to it. Now, like the Melanosophila and the Lachesis, they'll hit it and hang on to it. And once in a while, you'll get them bite it and let it go. But not too often. But Mudas tend to do that a little more than the other two species do. But everything with Bushmasters is slow. They digest slow because they kind of maintain themselves at a cooler temperature. Everything they do is slow. Eggs hatching takes forever. Breeding is a slow process. Cycling and setting them up for breeding is a slow process. It's just everything about Bushmasters is slow, except for the strike and how quick they can kill you. But what a magnificent animal. Not an animal for a novice, that's for sure. And I know that they're getting popular and there's more of them out there and people are selling them, but know what you're getting into before you end up getting a Lachesis. And like I say, we don't sell ours. We breed them so we have enough of them. I've watched these things die off in mass quantities. And just like when, I've known Dean Repa for many years, and he hoarded his Bushmasters for a reason, the same reason we hoard ours, because they die for no rhyme or reason. A perfectly healthy Bushmaster just dropped dead on you, and you don't know why. I've watched several of them die to Serpentarium when I first started on there, and Dean was not fazed by it. He was like, why do you think I don't sell them? He goes, we don't know enough about them, they just die. And I realized that too. It's like, that's why I don't sell our Bushmasters. You need at least 50 of them to have a breeding colony, a sustainable colony, because they are choosy on their mates. They really are. Having 4 or 6 of them is great. Having 10 of them is better. Having 50 of them is ideal. And that's the goal that we're pushing at. We want 50 of them. And he's working it slow. Like I said, everything with Lachesis is slow. They're quick to defend themselves. They're quick to light you up. They got a lightning fast strike. But everything else about them is in slow motion. They're just a very laid back animal. They take their time about everything that they do, except feeding. But I'm going to back out of here and let this guy take this down in peace. The main thing with Bushmasters is don't mess with them. Leave them alone. They do get stressed. They do get overdone where they don't do good. The more you mess with them, the worse they do. Keep them at the right temperature, keep them at the right humidity, and they'll do fine. Notice something. The humidity in this cage is over 70%. That's the humidity in this room, okay? And notice the temperature is 73 to 77 degrees. But I want you to notice something. Notice how dry it is in here. It's dry. You do not mist Bushmasters. Misting them is the worst thing in the world you can do. It's just not good for them. Any kind of water soaking them, they don't do good with it. It stresses them, and it just drives them nuts. You mist them, it drives them nuts. You don't mist them. You raise their humidity in the air, and they do well. They don't live in the water. They're just not that kind of snake. They don't do good getting misted. That's the worst thing you can do is mist them. He's almost got it down. the correct way to feed a Bushmaster. Just so you can get a little close up of this shed fang and the size of it. I mean, compared to my finger, pretty big fang, huh? But notice there's no blood, no tissue on that fang. This is just how it came out. Now, that's a truly shed fang. And what was interesting was that he did his first bite, he spit this fang out. The second bite, he hung on like a bulldog. That was pretty cool. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like, hit the bell notification thing, and come on back and watch Venomcentral. We got a lot more coming. I got a lot more for you. But anyways, don't forget to share. That's important. We're trying to grow. But come on back and watch us. And Venom Squad, let's get on it. Let's hit it. And I'll see you next go round. But thanks for watching. Willie from Venomcentral checking out. Later.